times online ordering, all that kind of stuff. I'm the Chief Data Officer at Paytronix, and Dave's been kind enough with one of our clients to come and talk about some of the work that CC's Coffee is doing in our platform. So just to try to structure this, right, we kind of think about, it's tempting to think AI is new and it just suddenly appeared in the world around about last February or March time, right? But the reality is it's been around for a while. There was even on the generative AI side, there was a ChatGPT 3 before there was a ChatGPT 3.5 and then 4. No one really discovered this stuff until about 4. We had it in our product at 3.5, so I think we were a little bit ahead of everyone else. But it's been amazing, like, to see what's happened with that. But we're going to start with some simpler things. Right? We kind of think of this as a journey, right? You start with in digital engagement. You start with just setting up some simple recurring campaigns, your welcome messages, your birthday rewards, things like that. And then you kind of move on to some more advanced things, and you start segmenting your guests. And again, our belief is you should very rarely be sending, if you've got a big database of customers and you know what they're doing, you've got all of this amazing data on your customers, you should very rarely just be sending the same thing to everybody on the same day. There's a time and a place for that. You know, you're going to do some above the line promotions, but a lot of the time you're going to want to be sending specific offers to specific people, and that's really where the sort of what we're beginning to think of as sort of old school AI really helps, and it's things around when to time the offer, which offer is the right offer for which person. I know people are using it for things like staff scheduling. We're using it for hyper-personalization, but it's that good old-fashioned right product, right person, right time, and there's a lot of value in that, and we continue to invest heavily in sort of getting better at that sort of predictive segmentation type of AI. And then there's the new stuff, this generative AI. And again, what we're seeing people use that for in today's world, in the restaurant world, is things like feedback responses. It's amazing at that. It's amazing at summarizing. Feedback. Feed it 1,000 guest responses and ask it to find the themes. It's pretty good at those kinds of things. Good at voice ordering. I think we want to spend a little bit of time before we dig into the brand new stuff, just kind of touching on the things that we've been working on for a while, right? So, I'm going to start the conversation talking a little bit more about the old school.
Can you turn on the microphone?
Or is it not turned on? Hopefully I'm loud enough that people can hear me. Never been told I talk too quiet. My wife would be surprised to hear that. Okay. Great. And so at this point, I wanted to, thinking about this kind of, this older world here, and I think some of the key to this middle box, this sort of AI and machine learning segmentation, is like, if you think about what a segmentation needs to do, it kind of needs to be predictive. If all it does is tell you something about what happened in the past, that's not particularly useful. Because if all you know is what happened in the past, and I'm going to treat two guests differently and send them different offers, I should be doing that not because of what they did in the past, but of what they're going to do in the future. So if someone is very likely to visit and someone is very unlikely to visit, maybe I treat them differently. So a lot of this is sort of about making sure you're predicting the future. And it's also, the key to being successful in this area is really, it's about making offers feel one-to-one, right? We might be doing 10 different offers, and each offer might get a different word or a different picture or have a different message in it. But fundamentally what's going on at this point is it's more kind of one-to-many, but in a very, very tailored way, so it feels highly personalized and highly relevant. And that's really been the focus of what we've been working on at Paytronix over the last probably 8 or 9 years. It is really getting better at that. And so I was going to ask David, CC's Coffee, where are you guys on this kind of journey to getting more hyper-personalized and getting some AI into your marketing?
Yeah, definitely. Hey everyone, I'm David, if you didn't hear that already. So for like the reoccurring campaigns, which I'm sure many of you have within if you have loyalty programs, we have the welcome messages, we have a birthday reward, so we give a guest a free birthday drink in the month of their birthday, and then we have sign-up rewards and all that set up. So that's all reoccurring, kind of like set it and forget it, at least for the most part. Update the branding every now and then, but that's our like thing that we have right now. And then we also have different loyalty tiers. So we have a loyalty rewards tier and an ultimate tier. So if they go up to the ultimate tier, we have a campaign set that they get an email for that they got the up to the better tier. But something that we're working on with Lee and his team is the AI segmentation using their kind of machine learning on segmenting our guests, and something we were talking about this morning, and I was actually looking in the back into Paytronix earlier today is looking through like the one-to-one win-backs that's built in there in terms of, if you have a guest who is slowing in terms of visiting, or if they have, they're lapsing. And then also the scoring, like Lee was talking about, in terms of the percentage of likelihood a guest may visit in the next 30 days or the next 7 days. And what that gives us is it gives us the tool to be able to segment out like an offer to a guest who may be unlikely to visit within the next 30 days, and we can kind of push that incentive on them to come swing by. And then we can also take out the guests who are 90% likely to come visit. We know they're going to come by in the next 7 days. We don't need to throw them an incentive. But we could use it as a tool to send them something that might land within their buying patterns.
Yeah, I mean, what David said is sort of consistent. There's some very quick, simple things you can do to make your campaigns a lot more successful. Like that simple idea there of like, don't send really, really rich offers to people that are going to come in anyway. Right? You're wasting your money. They're going to come in anyway. You're just discounting something that didn't need to be discounted. Let's target those rich offers at people that are less likely to come in, and let's, for the people that are more likely to come in, let's get them to do something a bit different. Let's do a visit challenge. Let's get them to spend a little bit more. Do something like that. David, are you concerned at all? I mean, I just heard the back end of the previous presentation. Like, how do you think about balancing? Is this, generally speaking, like good for the guest, bad for the guest? Should guests be worried that we're doing this?
Right.
It's like is this if you put yourself on the other side of this, is there anything about this that makes you kind of uneasy?
Right, and I think if you do it well, I think it is a great tool, and I think a guest is going to be likely to just love it. I mean, speaking from at least my I'm like at the very beginning of the Gen Z era, and for me, if I get an email, I want it to be targeted to me. I want it to have value for me. Because if I get one that's not, it doesn't really do anything for me. I think that's some of the danger there is sending a segmented Lee, you said it perfect this morning, and I'm gonna just steal what you said. It's a poorly segmented message is very similar to like very poor operations, where you might have great segmentation, but if you have one that just is let's say we have one of our guests that come in and get one of our mocha sippies, which is our frozen blended drink. I'm plugging that. If we have a guest come through and it's all melted, the espresso's terrible, they're more likely going to remember that experience than the good experiences they had prior. And I think segmentation is very similar. If we have, you can have some great campaigns, but if you have one where a guest, gets something that just doesn't make sense for them, they're likely to remember that and be like, this doesn't resonate with me, and I'm not going to do anything with this.
Yeah, I mean, we always sort of talk about staying on the right side of creepy, but guests are generally, I'm a little bit older than David, I'm more central Gen Xer, and I think we've gotten to the point now where like people understand you've got their data, they trust you to be sensible with it, be responsible with it, don't abuse it, don't sell it, all of those kind of things. Right, so let's move on. We'll talk a little bit about kind of the new world, the generative AI world. And I was going to start by giving just a couple of slides of like my general thoughts on it. I spend a lot of time talking to clients, talking to other people in the industry. So I'd love to just sort of share my general perspective, and then I'd love to touch up with David on what he's working on at CC's. So a couple of things. Like, so when I think about Gen AI overall, I sort of think about how I use it personally, how I drive my department to do it, and then how we drive our company to do it. And I think everybody should be doing something a little bit like this, right? On a personal level, we should all just be using it, right? If anyone's not like tinkering around with this, either in their professional or personal life, you might be getting left behind. It's just fun. It's kind of fun. Play with it. Ask it different things. You're going to find some stuff it's good at. You're going to find some stuff it's not good at. You're going to find it gets some stuff wrong. But it's just fun to use it and to get an understanding of what's going on under the hood and what it's doing. If you have a department, so it's like if I think about my strategy and analytics department, I've set them some loose goals. I'm not going to say go build this exact thing. We're still in the experiment phase with this. Anyone that says they've got like a 4-year detailed AI roadmap is probably wrong. Things are going to change. It's changing so fast. We've all just got to be experimenting with it, trying to find some wins. Let's set some goals. Let's set some goals around like, let's find 2 uses for this. Let's not say exactly what they're going to be. Let's enable the team. Let's encourage the team. Like, be a cheerleader. Share things. Right? Make sure people are talking to each other about what they're finding. Because we're all finding new things all the time. And as a company, I'll talk a little bit more about this later, make it safe, so make sure you're not inadvertently sharing data with the world. We don't want to be doing that. and let lots of people have a go. I don't think I believe in like fully centralizing the AI initiative. I think you need to push it out. I think different departments, different people are going to find different use cases. Let people innovate. Let people find their way with it, but keep it safe. And if you find some winners, back up. Right? If you find something that's a good idea, go do it. But don't expect to have like a detailed 4-year roadmap like you might for some other areas of business. It's moving too fast. So be flexible, be playful with it. I would say just always keep a window open and play with it. I don't need to go into much more detail on that. These are my perspectives. You might disagree with this, but what we're finding, what I'm finding, is it's really, really good at generating ideas. It's really good at developing first drafts of almost anything. It's really good at giving it a large amount of text and ask it to summarize it. We just did a staff survey, an engagement survey. We got something like 1,300 text responses. I did read them all, but at the same time, I also uploaded all of them to a safe ChatGPT environment and started asking it questions. And it's amazing. It can synthesize. It can say, 42 people talked about work-life balance, 23 people talked about this, and here's the summary of what. It's really, really good at that kind of thing. And it's very good at mimicking styles, really good at that. A couple of areas we should all just be careful about. And again, I would encourage everyone to do this. Don't be fooled by how good it is, right? I find if I ask it about something I don't know about, if I ask it to write me a poem, I think it writes a really good poem. If I ask it to write me an email to my boss, it's not very good. I suspect it's not as good at poetry as I think it is. I suspect I'm just not very good at poetry, and it's better than I am. Right, but I think that's what you'll find with this stuff, is if it's in an area you don't know about, it seems like it's the most amazing thing in the world. If it's an area you do know about, just be careful with it. So I think it's kind of a first draft. At this point in time, it's kind of a first draft thing. I don't think I'd let it unsupervised out in the wild too much. The second bullet is the one that scares me the most. It's confidently wrong. I asked it the other day to help analyze some contracts. We've got a bunch of contracts we were looking at. And I said, tell me this, look for this term, and then quote, show me the whole section. And it just, it gave me some quotes that just aren't in the contract. They're just not there. It's totally hallucinated that they're there. So you just have to be really careful with it. It will say, this is on page 5, lines 12 and 13, and it's not. You go to page 5, lines 12 and 13, and it's wrong. It's categorically wrong about it. So just be careful, be suspicious of it. It's still pretty bad at numeric tasks. That kind of goes back to don't be fooled by how good it is. I'm quite good at numeric tasks. It isn't. And it's still not especially quick. If you want it to write 10,000 emails, that's going to take a minute. It's really good at writing one. It's not kind of a volume tool yet. So that's kind of my quick take on this. And I'll come back to this in a little bit. I'm going to go back a slide here. David, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second. Like,
sure.
What are you looking at? I mean, there's a million different problems in a restaurant. Like, where are you looking for generative AI to help you?
Yeah, and I actually just recently got back from MEG, which is like the marketing conference before the NRA. And we had a panel on AI, and they started out with something interesting. So just show of hands, who has used ChatGPT before to generate anything, copy? Yeah, so it's one of those tools, I think, yeah, like Lee was saying, like you have to, be using it. I mean, it's great to play with. On the most basic form, we use it for sure for copy, anything in our, we have our senior director of operations will be in a conference room. If we have like a roadblock or something, he will type in a prompt, and it is surprising how much, that will provide, clarity in a conference room, because it's like, okay, we didn't think about that. It's another perspective. He even, I wrote an email out to the company, and he sent me a reply where he copied all of it, asked it to write it in the lyrical form of Taylor Swift, and then sent it back to me. And I was like, this is actually kind of crazy that it did this, because it's very accurate. Yeah, it was great. And it helps me write emails. It helps me do a lot of things. But in terms of like the industry, and particularly what we're looking at is, and if you were at the last breakout, we talked about it a little bit, but the AI ordering is something that is really big right now, and we're definitely looking at the accuracy that it has. From what I've heard and what I've seen, it does a really great job of catching orders accurately. But like Richard had the concern in his last one, it's very fair that when you go that route, you might take away a little bit of the humanity out of your restaurant, and that's a very fair concern. So I don't know necessarily that it's a black and white, go this way or go that way. It's one of those things where I think you can implement a little bit of both. We started doing outside order taking, where we have our baristas during peak hours go out and take orders on a handheld. I could see that happening during peak hours and using AI ordering later in the day. You know, there's things that you could do to kind of make it work. And you know, I came out as a barista in the stores. And I remember one of like the things that I loved was the human interaction of our guests, you know, seeing the regulars come by. So, you know, I think there's supposed to be a good mix, and I think if you do it well, it's going to be really beneficial.
Great. Again, I just want to make sure, my take on this, what should we all be doing with it? So first of all, we should all be experimenting. I said this before. Everybody should be kicking it around. It's amazing at drafting copy, drafting an email. We've seen clients use it to generate menu items. People are coming up with martini. You know, give me a here's my menu. Give me a spring-themed martini that will go with that. It comes up with some amazing ideas. Give me a new lemonade flavor. Give me a new. There's a whole. It's amazing at coming up with it. It'll give you 10 answers. Like 8 of them will be complete nonsense. Yeah. 2 of them will be brilliant, and you just tweak them a little bit, and you're ready to go. Okay, safe environment. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The next one's a bit technical. If anyone's like getting a little bit further down the kind of actually building something, let's talk about it afterwards. I'm not going to go into that. Where are we facing, right? So where are we focusing? We're looking at helping our clients use our platform. Again, it's that kind of text interface. It's that one-to-one interaction is where it's really good. So helping people come in and just ask a question. How's my program doing? How did that last campaign do? Just sort of allow people to put in real text prompts and get real answers out of there. We are using it for online ordering surveys. If someone receives a survey, a store receives a survey, we can generate a response to it. We can detect whether it was good, positive or negative feedback, generate a response. We still at this stage have the manager of the store read it, make any edits if they want before they hit send, but it's generating that survey for them in the platform and sending it out. We're trying it in the back end. We're trying to see if we can get it to write simple queries. We're looking at feedback, lots of different things. This might be a bit strange for me to say this, but as someone that's like helping our clients with this personalized marketing, it's still not quite ready for game time on that stuff, right? It isn't quite fast enough to generate an individual message for every single person out there, and actually, overall it's cheap, right? It's amazingly cheap actually to interact with it on a personal basis. You'd struggle to spend $2 on using it all day long. But if you ask it to do these repetitive at scale tasks, it actually might start to get a little bit more expensive. And so we need to be a little bit careful. It costs like a penny to write an email, which isn't bad. But if you have it write 100,000 emails or 1 million emails, now it starts to add up to some serious dollars, and we're going to have to be a little bit careful with that. But at the volume most people are using it today, we don't know. You don't hear many people talk about the cost of it. But again, a couple of emails, playing around with it, coming up with some menu items, it's basically free. At scale, writing millions of emails for millions of people, it would actually get quite expensive. And I will just say one more thing, just health warning, right? This is my personal ChatGPT environment, but you can see here, it's a Paytronix environment. So we've got this environment set up. Everyone can do this. It costs a little bit more than the standard version. What it means is I can put data in this and it's not going to send it up. If you don't have this, if you load data into it, if you load your customer feedback, if you load your store sales, whatever you're loading in, they have the right to use that data to train future versions of the model. They're not going to, it's not like I could go in there and say, hey, show me CC's Coffee's data. It's not going to do that, but it will have used that data to train future models, or that input to train future models. So I just say be super careful with this. If you're just using it to generate ideas, it's fine. But if you're going to share any real data, real information with it, just be careful. Make sure you're doing it in a safe environment.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it for me, David. I don't know if you wanted to add any closing remarks, but I think it's, my big thing here is it's still early in this. Don't feel like don't feel like you're going to be you're not behind. You don't feel like you're behind if you haven't got anything in the wild yet. And again, my favorite quote around this is, you're not going to lose your job to ChatGPT. You're going to lose your job to someone that's better at using ChatGPT than you are.
Yeah.
That's the key to it. Be using it. Stay ahead of it. If you're not using it, other people are, and you're and that's the threat.
Yeah.
At this point in time, that might not be true in 2 years, but that's the current state of the art.
Definitely. And it definitely comes down to how you prompt it too. We have an agency that we've worked with, and they'll send us copy for like a social media post, and I can tell whenever they put no effort in asking or prompting ChatGPT, because it's like you can tell sometimes. So it really comes down to how you do prompt it, and then also one of the things that we've used it for that I forgot to mention is we use it frequently for help, coming up with just new ideas for drink names and everything. It's a really useful tool for, particularly if you have a smaller department, to just have it's like having a third person that can throw other ideas, and you can take what you want, you can leave stuff. It's phenomenal.
You don't hurt its feelings if you don't.
Yeah,
use its
yeah.
ideas
If you hate
like
it,
this.
yeah.
It's nice like that.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think that was all we had. I'm happy to take any questions. Where are we on time? Are we doing all right?
You're good.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.